This episode is about the many different ways that you can strength train.
You're listening to the Intuitive Strength Podcast, and I'm your host, Brie Ogletree. I'm an online fitness coach teaching women how to use strength training and nutrition to build a body they love, but I'm also a strong believer in holistic wellness, which includes all aspects of your life. While this podcast is heavily focused on fitness and nutrition, we'll also dive into other topics that attribute to total wellness to include mental health, financial health, relationships, and stress management, to name a few. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the episode.
Hello and welcome back to the show. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Brie Ogletree. I am an online fitness coach for women. I teach women how to use strength training to reach their body goals long term so that they can go off and be amazing in all other aspects of their lives. This week, we're diving into the many modalities of strength training and just the different options that are out there for you that you may or may not already be aware of. This is just to bring to your awareness that there are a variety of options when it comes to strength training, and you don't have to settle for just one or two different styles of training. There's a lot of different options out there for you. If you're brand new to strength training, this is a great episode for you because this is going to break down all of the options that there are available to you and options that you'll have even if you don't have a gym membership or you don't have a lot of equipment at home. We're going to break down exactly how to get into strength training when your resources are a little bit limited. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're listening on YouTube, and if you're listening somewhere on a podcast app, be sure to also subscribe to the show. I post pretty much weekly different episodes all around strength training, nutrition, mindset, and I have some guest ons from here and there to help with other aspects of wellness. So definitely be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. To start off this conversation, we are going to start with what the definition of strength training actually is. So strength training is synonymous with resistance training. So you may hear the term strength training, you may hear the term resistance training. They both mean the same thing. So what strength training or what resistance training actually is you applying force, you contracting your muscles or you activating your muscles against an external force. And the goal of strength training or resistance training is to improve your muscular strength. It could be to improve your endurance, or it could be to build up more muscle mass, so muscle hypertrophy. Strength training can help you reach a variety of fitness goals. It's also important in sports performance as well. We want to make sure that we're strong enough and our muscles have enough endurance to be able to perform whatever sport we're performing, if that's one of your goals. Really, in any fitness plan or any sports performance plan, there's gonna be a foundation of strength training involved. Yes, it's gonna look different from goal to goal and from, sport to sport, based on the needs of whatever that goal is or whatever that sport is, right? But we're still going to have a foundation of strength training or resistance training within that training plan to reach that overall goal. So it is highly recommended that whatever your fitness goal is, that you are incorporating some aspect of strength training in your plan to help you get to where you want to go. So now that was a quick Google search of what strength training or resistance training is. But notice how there's no specific modality that's pointed out as to what strength training and resistance training is. And that's because there is a variety of ways that you can strength train or that you can resistance train. And the point of this episode is really just to show you that you have a variety of options when it comes to strength training, when it comes to resistance training. And you don't have to limit yourself to dumbbells or resistance bands or the machines at the gym. There are so many options for you out there, and I encourage you to explore these different options so that you can keep your training routine fun, you can get a little bit of variety, and it's always fun to learn new things. All right, so starting right at the top of the list, we've got free weights. So there are common, more conventional free weights like dumbbells, barbells, kettlebells, right? And then there's less conventional things like sandbags, medicine balls, steel clubs, even steel maces, and then weight vests. Now, the first category, so your dumbbells, barbells, kettlebells, you're going to see most of those in most commercial gyms now. Even the kettlebells have become more conventional and more common. So you're going to see them in most gyms. The second category, the less common ones like the sandbags, the medicine balls, the weight vests, things like that, those are the maces. Those are going to be less common. A few of those I myself haven't even used. So steel clubs, steel maces, but those are all considered free weights. So free weights are just, it's a piece of equipment that has a specified weight to it, and you perform your exercises with that piece of equipment. I'm a little bit biased when it comes to free weights. Free weights are my favorite way to train. I love barbell training. Barbell training is probably my favorite way to train out of all of the free weights. But if you see me in the gym, I'm usually the majority of my workouts are free weights. The next category is going to be resistance bands. Now, there's a variety of different resistance bands out there that you can use. There are bands with handles. So there's the two bands with the handles on each side. There are giant loop bands, so those can be used for a variety of exercises. I primarily use them for band-assisted pull-ups, but you can use them for a variety of different things like seated rows, bent over rows. You can even squat with them. There are a lot of different things you could do with those. There's mini bands as well. So mini bands you can use for upper body and lower body. I primarily use them for lower body to do things like resistance band glute bridges or seated hip abductions or glute kickbacks. That's what I primarily use them for, but you can add them to your push-ups. You can do bicep curls with them. Lots of different options there. I really like resistance bands because they are very lightweight. They're very portable. So I've taken them on trips with me if I knew I wanted to get in a workout while I was away. They're easy to pack and fold up. And they're also cost efficient too, or cost effective. They're not too expensive, especially the mini loop bands. I think I got a pack on Amazon for like 10 to 15 bucks, depending on which ones you get. They're a very versatile piece of equipment that you can use. The giant loop bands, I again got those on Amazon too. They were like $30 for a variety pack. So I have, little skinny giant loop bands, and I have the big fat ones to help with things like band assisted pull ups. Yeah, so resistance bands are super travel friendly. They're pretty low in cost, and I highly recommend them if you plan on doing a majority of your workouts at home, or just having them on hand at the gym is also handy as well if you're doing something like band assisted pull-ups, or you don't want to wait for a cable machine. A lot of cable machine exercises can be mimicked with the resistance band. I definitely highly recommend a variety of those. The thing with resistance bands is they're going to provide tension on both the concentric part of the movement and the eccentric part of the movement. So the concentric part is when you are contracting your muscle against the force of the band, and the eccentric part of the movement is when that muscle group is lengthening or coming back to the resting position. With resistance bands, you're going to have tension both directions. So you're going to have tension on both the concentric and the eccentric part of the movement. Next up, we have cable machines. So cable machines, again, are similar to resistance bands. They're just usually these big, bulky pieces of equipment in the gym. But they do have multiple functions so you can usually get a full body workout in on just a cable machine, but they are one of the more popular pieces of equipment in a conventional gym. So at a busy time in any conventional gym, it can be difficult to get your hands on this piece of equipment or do a full workout with this piece of equipment. But they are like resistance bands in that they have tension on both the concentric and eccentric part of the movement. So they are a great piece of equipment. I love to use cables for a variety of exercises, but generally when I go to the gym, I usually just opt for my big loop resistance bands and mimic whatever exercise I'm trying to do, just for ease and just for purposes of not moving out of like my little workout bubble. But I love cable machines as well. Next up is what's called flywheel strength training. So I've actually never done flywheel strength training. I'm just aware of it as an option. Most gyms are not going to have flywheels. I have seen them demoed online and they look like a really cool piece of equipment. But basically, what a flywheel does is it provides resistance based on the inertia of that flywheel. You can switch out anywhere from like a smaller wheel to a larger wheel, and it's going to provide more and more resistance based on how fast, so how quickly you pull on the flywheel and how fast it's spinning. So I think that's a really cool piece of equipment. I've never personally used it myself, but I know that the eccentric part of the movement is what is overloaded in flywheel training. So it could be something, if it's available to you, that you might want to try. I know at my gyms, at the gyms I frequent, we don't have flywheel training, so that's why I haven't tried it yet. But it's definitely on my list to try. But that is an option for strength training as well. I've heard really good things about flywheel training when it comes to building muscular strength, endurance, and hypertrophy. So again, if it's available to you, definitely give it a shot. And the last option is body weight training. Things like calisthenics are a great way to build muscular strength and endurance. So if you're just getting started with your strength training journey, and or you don't have a lot of equipment available to you could definitely use body weight exercises to start your strength training journey. And there are different ways to make different body weight exercises more or less challenging. Getting stronger with body weight exercises really comes down to whether or not your program is designed to progress as you get stronger, right? So, for example, if you are able to do a set of 10 of push ups, maybe you can pump out 3 sets of 10 of push ups, which is really great. Good for you. And you just continue to do that 3 sets of 10 week after week after week without really tweaking anything or making that exercise more challenging for you. Eventually, you're not going to get much out of the exercise other than just maintaining your muscular strength or endurance where you're currently at. So, with your body weight strength training, you just want to make sure that you are working in progression into your training plan, whether that's adding some reps week to week or making the exercise more challenging with your body weight. So, back to that push up, for example, instead of just doing your 3 sets of 10 week after week after week after week, you maybe want to start incorporating something like a decline push up, something that's going to add variety to your training to help continue making you stronger. And that applies to really any body weight exercise. How can you continue to incorporate progression so that you continue seeing progress and getting stronger over time? Now, if you're thinking that you can't get started because you don't have a gym membership or you don't have access to equipment, this is your notice that you can absolutely get started with strength training. You don't need equipment. You could start with body weight exercises, and you can also load exercises with heavy things that you have around the house. So if you have a backpack, for example, you can load that up with some books, something heavy that you have in the house, and use that as a weight to start your strength training journey. But again, you can use just body weight exercises just as long as you are progressing through those body weight exercises, finding ways to make your workouts more challenging. You can absolutely get stronger with just body weight exercises. I totally missed resistance machines, obviously. So most commercial gyms have resistance machines, and those are those big bulky machines that usually work one muscle group at a time. That's also an option for you as well. That is more of a traditional way to strength train, but it's still an option for you. So if you go to any gym, Planet Fitness, LA Fit, it really doesn't matter what gym you go to, they're going to have resistance machines. And most of them work really one muscle group at a time. But you have things like lat pull down that is in the form of like a resistance machine, which is also a compound exercise as well. You might have something like a seated row as a resistance machine. You might even have a squat machine in the form of a resistance machine.
Hey, what's up? This is Bree from the future. As I was editing this video, I realized I forgot another exercise modality that is great for strength training, and that is suspension training. I love suspension training, and I'm mad at myself that I forgot to include this in the video. So suspension training is basically just, you may know it as TRX. It's the two straps that kind of hang at an anchor point. Usually you'll see them in the gym. Suspended from some type of anchor point, whether that's like a pull-up bar, or they might have their own like anchor attachment that's separate from other pieces of equipment. I love suspension training because it's another form of body weight training, but you can make the exercises more or less difficult depending on the angles at which you are placing your body and performing the exercises. I have my own set of suspension straps. They're not TRX, but they're like an off brand from Amazon. I love suspension training because it's another portable way that you can strength train. So it's great for home training. Most of the kits have a door attachment. So as long as you have a nice sturdy door, you can do suspension training at home. And the suspension straps, if you get an off brand, they're anywhere from like 40 to 80 bucks maybe. The TRX is a little bit more expensive because it's name brand. I think they're anywhere from like 120 to maybe like 180 for a kit, depending on which one you get. But again, I love suspension training because it's very easy to adjust the training and adjust the exercise to your fitness level. So, highly recommend that you give it a shot if you do have these at your gym. And if you're looking for a recommendation or if you're looking to invest in suspension straps, let me know. Just shoot me a DM and I will try and find you, if not the pair that I have, a similar set of suspension straps that are more budget friendly.
So, the big three things that I want you to take home today are number one, that you have a variety of options when it comes to strength training or resistance training. And it really doesn't matter what your goal is, right? Strength training should be part of your plan for getting to your goal, getting to your fitness goal. Number two is, regardless of what modalities you're choosing for your plan, just make sure that you're incorporating the core five, which I've gone over before: your upper body push, your upper body pull, your squat variations, your hinge variations, and your core exercises. As long as you're incorporating those in your strength training plan, the modality is really not going to matter, as long as you, again, incorporate those movements and you're including progression in your plan, your training plan. And the last thing is to remember that you can absolutely start with no equipment. You can start with just body weight to start strength training, to start getting stronger. As long as, again, you incorporate progression into your plan and you are challenging yourself week to week to week to get stronger in those exercises. Now, I personally do like a little bit of variety in my training. The majority of the time, I am using free weights, but I also use bands. I use the cable machine. Sometimes I'll throw a resistance machine in there, depending on what my focus is for that training month. I like a lot of variety. And I think having variety in my training just makes me a better mover overall. Now, if you just listen to that and you're like, Bree, that's a lot of options, I'm overwhelmed. just pick one or two of the different modalities that I talked about and give them a shot. See how they feel. Movement fundamentals are going to be key regardless of any modality that you choose. So feel them out, see how you like them. And then if you don't like a certain modality, you can always, switch to something else. And again, I know everyone has different gym setups. So when I coach, especially for group programs, I try to incorporate a variety of options when it comes to the training plan. So in a group program, from me, you're always going to see a free weight option. There might be some resistance or cable band options, and then there's always going to be a body weight options as well. So like a very minimal equipment option in case you have literally nothing available, right? I'm always thinking of what would be a great body weight equivalent to whatever exercise or whatever objective I'm thinking of or trying to achieve with the exercise, and incorporating that as well. So with any of my group programs, you're always going to have that option, right? So if you're starting from zero, you can absolutely start with no equipment and still see great results. And lastly, if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't even have a training plan, I don't even know what you're talking about, Brie, you can definitely get a free training plan. I have a free workout template called Lifting Made Easy. You can grab that at train.briogaltree.com/pro. And that will walk you through how to create your own custom strength training program with whatever equipment you choose. So again, you can grab that at train.briogaltree.com/pro. All right, so that is going to be it for this week. I hope that was insightful and helped you see that you have a variety of options when it comes to strength training, and also that incorporating strength training is going to be important for really any fitness goal that you have. If you have a question about any particular modality or piece of equipment that you may be thinking of investing in, definitely connect with me on Instagram, shoot me a DM, and ask me your question. I'd be more than happy to give you feedback on your workout or the piece of equipment that you are looking to invest in. All right, that is going to be it for this week. Please be sure to subscribe wherever you're watching or listening to this video or audio, and I will see you next week. Bye. Hey, just popping in to let you know that my 8-week group coaching program, Lifting Confidence, is opening its doors soon. This is an 8-week program all around teaching you how to effectively strength train, so proper form, technique, how to put a program together, and also how to nourish your body so that you can achieve and maintain your body goals long term. Doors are opening towards the end of June. So if you are interested in the program, be sure to hop on the wait list so you're the first to know when doors open. You can head to iscoaching.fit /waitlist to join the waitlist today.